State. My name is Sonshine Wiley, and I am your host. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today and joining us as we journey in search of emotional health, healing, and wellness. We are in high pursuit of overall wellness, choosing to see the glass of our lives as half full and overflowing. I'm so excited about this episode today. This is episode 23, and it's simply titled, Are You in Your Own Way? This is episode 23, so you know it's my Jordan episode, so I'll definitely talk about Jordan a little bit, but literally the topic for today is, are you in your own way? So I've read so many articles and books about eliminating excuses and being resilient. There are many tips and tricks and everything from the 3-2-1 method to finding the role of excuses and being able to allow them to sit or to be positioned in a designated area as a way for you to rationalize your way through them, aka basically shoving them to the side and in your mind giving them a seat, to sit so that they don't continue to stumble you or cause you to stumble or trip you up or whatever the case is. So I have to think though that, there's so much more to getting in your own way than making excuses. There's so much more to getting in your own way than, being lazy, because I've made excuses for myself like a million times, and I've also been in my own way before. And the two of them are definitely different because there's different meanings or reasonings for me personally that, I've done both. I've made excuses because either I didn't feel like it or I didn't want to do it. But then when I was in my own way, I realized that there was an element of self-sabotage in there somewhere. And so self-sabotage is a good indicator that you're getting in your own way. Let's start there. Because if you are doing things to sabotage yourself, so say for instance, if you have a good opportunity that's coming your own way and you create every excuse that you can to not actually accomplish that goal or to not actually move forward with the things that you want to do, that is a form of self-sabotage. That is an indicator that maybe you are not really wanting to do this thing, or maybe there's an element of fear that's underlying or keeping you from being able to do whatever that thing is. Now, self-sabotage can be in many areas of your life, not just opportunities. You can sabotage yourself as far as the relationships that you have with family, with friends, with coworkers, what have you, and there's so many ways that we can sabotage ourselves from really enjoying the good things in life, from enjoying the happy parts or the peaceful parts in life. And let me clarify what I mean by getting in your own way. So what I mean is you are the reason that stuff is moving slow. You are the reason that opportunities pass you by. You are the reason that maybe you could be at this level, but you're not quite there yet because of whatever reason or whatever mentality or whatever mode that you've convinced yourself of. Now, this episode is not to blast anyone because I'm also talking about myself. For sure. Rather, whether it's exploratory conversations or what have you, this is a conversation that asks, what is the root and where can I dig it up? Is it even possible to dig it up? Because I definitely don't want it anymore. I don't want to sabotage myself anymore. And since this is my Jordan episode, I use a Jordan example. Now, I did have to get a little help from Wikipedia, so I'll read what they were saying. Because I wanted to really talk about the turning point or visit the turning point in his life. So he tried out for basketball. Of course, we all know that basketball was his jam. And so he tried out for basketball, the varsity team, during his sophomore year. But, at the height of 5'11", he was deemed too short to play at that level. His taller friend, Harvis Leroy Smith, was actually the only sophomore to make the team. Motivated to prove his worth, Jordan became the star of Laney's junior varsity team and tallied some 40-point games. The following summer, he grew 4 inches and trained rigorously. Upon earning a spot on the varsity roster, he averaged more than 25 points per game. Over his final 2 seasons of high school, as a senior, he was selected to play in the 1981 McDonald's All-Star Game and scored 30 points, averaging 27 points per game, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists per game for that season. And you already know the rest is history. He was able to move past his own disappointment. He was able to move past being told no. He was able to move past a not right now, and eventually become the benchmark for what most basketball players would like to be, including your boy LeBron and Kobe, RIP. You know what I'm saying? He was able to take the challenge head on and move forward. That's called resilience. And he didn't allow the things that, were not necessarily fun to hear to stop him from being able to progress and move forward. So I came across a few key things when it comes to self-sabotage, because that's what really the bottom of being in your own way is: sabotaging yourself. So there are 5 things that come up every time you think about self-sabotage. Number 1 is fear. Number 2 is shame. Number 3 is comparison. Number 4 is expectations. And number 5 is trauma responses. Now, when I think of every last one of those words, I think of moments that I've experienced, or things that I've done, or things that have come in my way, and caused me to think, well, maybe I'm not good enough. Or, well, maybe this opportunity or this person or this place or this job or this house isn't for me. And of course, all of those things are the foundations of what it takes, or what happens when you sabotage yourself. So I looked up definitions because I like to make sure that I am giving sound information and that what I give actually makes sense. I'll tell you right now, I am no doctor, no therapist, no expert or anything like that. I am a person who is on this journey looking to make sure that the things that I try for myself that I can share with other people so that we can experience the journey together. And so for fear, one second. So for fear is defined as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. Now, for me, I have had self-sabotaging moments because of fears not necessarily based in fact, not necessarily based around something that's actually happening, but based around things that are likely to cause pain. So again, it's an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief. Now, the belief, it doesn't even necessarily have to be true. Again, it's the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. Now, fear is normal. There are times when you should actually be afraid. If someone's coming after you with a knife, that is something that it's okay to be fearful about because that's dangerous. But if someone is coming at you with love and this person actually has good intentions, then maybe that fear is as a result of something else. And we can talk about that a little bit later, but you got to realize which fears are warranted and which fears are things that are caused by trauma responses. And next, we'll talk about shame. So shame is defined as a painful feeling of humiliation or distress caused by the consciousness of wrong or foolish behavior. Now, we all know that consciousness is basically the way you think or a perception or something going on in your mind. Because again, shame, just like fear, is based on a belief, not necessarily what's happening. And a second definition for shame, which I actually found really, really important, really vital, is a person, action, or situation that brings a loss of respect or honor. So sometimes when you experience shame, you lose the person is losing respect for that other people are losing respect for you, or you lose respect for another person or honor for another person. And that's a tough situation to be in. A lot of times when we experience shame, it doesn't necessarily come from, let me not say that. What I will say is there's 2 sides to it. Sometimes it doesn't come from external sources. Sometimes it comes from us experiencing things and us feeling like this isn't what it should be. This isn't how the things should go. So as a result of it, we have internal shame. Sometimes, of course, it comes from external people, and they may say, you're wrong for this, or they may say things that make you feel like, this isn't necessarily how things are supposed to go for you. And who are they to speak on your life? Anyway, but I don't want to get stuck there because I want to read these definitions and I want to get to the main idea of what I'm trying to say. Comparison is defined as a consideration or estimate of the similarities or dissimilarities between two things or people. Now, I have said it time and time again that comparison is the thief of joy. A lot of people are not happy or experiencing joy because they're comparing their lives to somebody else's, or they're comparing their situation to another situation, or they're comparing what they have to what somebody else has. And that's not necessarily something that's going to be helpful in your life because your life is yours. You got to run your own race. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to be the person that's doing you, for you, with you, about you, period. You have to be your own benchmark. And again, what we see resounding in there again is a consideration or estimate. So again, that's just a belief. It's not what actually is. And another one is the fourth one, expectation, is defined as a strong belief, there we go again, that something will happen or be the case in the future. A belief that someone will or should achieve something, or one's prospects of inheritance. So all of that, again, all four of those are founded in the way that you think. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of how we overcome sabotaging ourselves is by changing the way that we think about ourselves, the way that we think about situations, the way that we think through situations. And finally, I'll talk about trauma responses. Now, trauma responses, there's no one way to define a trauma response. So I'll sum it up from what I've been reading. And what I've learned from, the conversations that I've been having with other people, my therapist, all that good stuff. Yes, I'm still in therapy. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, I'm there. Anyway, but trauma response, trauma, which is a stress-induced event, might include a terrible breakup or betrayal of trust, a work environment that's chronically abusive, or anything else that is mildly frightening over time. Now, they may not seem serious at that time, but in the long term, the effects of trauma can still have a significant influence on you physically, spiritually, and mentally when they are not emotionally processed and integrated. Somatically, meaning in your body, or intellectually, meaning in your mind. If a problem is left unresolved, past trauma may turn into trapped, frozen energy that your body will respond to physiologically, in the form of a trauma response. Now, that's a lot of words, so let me sum it up. Basically, trauma, which is the stress-inducing event, might be something that is mildly traumatic, and might not be something that's catastrophic, like, your house burning down with you in it, but it might be something as a little less traumatic, like a breakup, or either a friendship or a relationship, or maybe you distance yourself from a person in your family. That's a little less traumatic than you being in the house that caught on fire and narrowly escaping with your life. But still, those are still two traumas. Even though they have different effects and different levels, they are still trauma. And a person who is not able to properly handle or classify or make it through those traumas might see those as the same amount of weight. And what it means to be frozen in that moment means that you keep playing out those trauma moments over and over again. You keep living in trauma like that. So, of course, there are 4 types of trauma responses. Of course, they have a lot to do with adrenaline and things like that we, deal with all the time. But in these situations, you are in constant state of experiencing those responses. So the 4 are fight, of course, flight, freeze, or fawn. And I'll talk, about each one of those. Basically, when functioning properly, the fight response enables for assertion, Ha! I messed that word up. When functioning properly, the fight response enables for assertion and solid boundaries. So basically, when you have the right amount of fight in you, you're not going to just allow certain things to happen to you. So say for instance, if someone is demeaning you and, treating you unfairly, you're going to have a fight response. Whether that fight response is to be like, you know what, I'm not doing this with you, and you leave and you remove yourself from the situation, or you let them know that you don't like it. Those are the things that are an appropriate fight response, and in the correct opportunity. Or if it's something even bigger, if you get in a situation where someone is physically attacking you, or if you get in a situation where you have to, actually defend yourself physically, those are normal fight responses. Now, if you decide that you don't want to defend yourself in that situation and you just allow those things to occur, that's also a different response. But that just is based on the person and how they respond. But still, it's natural and normal to want to defend yourself in those type of situations. So now, when it's not in the properly functioning stage, you get a Will Smith slapping Chris Rock situation. You get somebody who is responding to a trauma that's based on a whole lot of other things that we may or may not even know that are going on, and they just pop off and haul off and slapping people. That is when it's not properly categorized. Because in that moment, we could all see that his response was based on how his wife was reacting. His response was based off of pressure from external sources, or maybe even memories from conversations that they had that we don't even know about. Maybe it's based on memories that he had from things that happened in his childhood. Maybe it's based on and. And so in that moment, his fight response was not properly functioning, because what actually should have occurred is, it's okay to say that I'm not okay with this thing. Or it's okay to maybe talk to Chris to the side and be like, bro, that wasn't cool, or whatever the case is. But understanding what is the difference between your fight response being improperly placed, or when your fight response is actually to defend you, because that's what it's supposed to be there for. It's supposed to be there to defend you in times of life or death. That's what it's supposed to be there for. It's supposed to defend your well-being, right? Instead of bucking up and lashing out because your feelings are hurt. And I'll leave that as that, because there's a whole lot of times that people in this world, our feelings are going to get hurt. That's just what it is, and being able to move past when your feelings are hurt and actually categorizing, you know what, my feelings were hurt by this person, and maybe we just had an argument and we need to talk about it, because that happens, Or if your feelings are hurt and this is a person that just is utterly disrespectful to you and they should no longer be in your life, then you also have to make that decision. But that is a part of balance. And that is a part of properly categorizing where fear should sit and where fight should sit and all that good stuff. So now the next one is flight. The flight response is triggered when a person feels threatened or exposed. Avoidant behavior occurs as a result of the flight response. In other words, run away from dangerous situations. So in the flight situation, you can imagine it like if a bear was deciding to attack you, or it popped up on your campsite, a lot of us would run because that's our natural response. Of course, there are many theories of what you should do if a brown bear versus a black bear versus whatever other bear comes to you. But the natural response in that moment is to get up out of there, is to run, to flee the situation. That is a proper flight response. So when it is not properly used, it can lead to running from all the situations, regardless of how dangerous, i.e. avoiding decisions or having irrational fears and running away from things to evade danger or what you believe is danger. Running away from either a relationship or running away from a job, because more times than not, a lot of people, or running away from your dreams. A lot of times people run away from their dreams because they have the irrational fear that if they jump out on their dreams, that either they'll fail or they'll succeed. Because of course, sometimes people have the fear of succeeding. People have fear of the responsibility of success, because success is a responsibility. It's not something that you just have and life just is up and up and up. You have to deal with what comes with success. Success is a whole lot more than just having money. Success, you have to be able to figure out how to handle and manage that money. You have to be able to figure out how to invest that money. You got to figure out how to keep that money. And you got to figure out how to properly allocate the money to the things or the people who might have actually invested in you. So say, for instance, you got somebody who has done a ton of stuff with and for you, figuring out how best to, include them in your success can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming for people, because some people have never had money before. So they just want to hold on to it. It's not selfishness. It's a scarcity mentality. But understanding the responsibility and how to actually function with success is a cause of fear for a situation. And of course, they run. Now, with the freeze situation, a lot of people haven't necessarily heard of it before, so we'll talk about it here. Now, when healthy, the freeze response may assist you in slowing down and evaluating the situation carefully in order to figure out what to do next. So the freeze response is in place for you to be able to realize that, you know what, I need to take this moment and I need to actually pump the brakes for a little second and weigh my options and see what's really going to be good for me, as opposed to what is going to be something that I don't necessarily need at this moment. It could be something that I need in the future. It could be something that I don't need at all, right? But that response is set there for you to be able to slow down and make calculated decisions. It's okay to make a calculated decision. Every decision doesn't have to be a quick one. Every decision doesn't require that it is a quick one. Sometimes you need to slow down and weigh all your options and see, maybe this is a good idea, but here are the pros and cons. So that's when it's healthy. That's when it's used in the proper sense of the word of a freeze response. Now, when it's not, you are withdrawn in your mind or unable to form words and feel frozen in time. Now, I'll say that again. When it is not healthy, right? You are withdrawn and in your mind or unable to form words and feel frozen in time. Life moves on, and you don't. Time is lost. And a lot of times it's the same as temporary paralysis, and disconnecting from, your body to avoid additional stress. So like a lot of people withdraw or remove themselves, even in the midst of conversation. I know I can identify with almost all of these responses because I've seen myself in every last one of them. I've seen myself withdraw or freeze in a situation because in my mind, it might be too overwhelming to deal with at that moment. And for me, of course, with the help of a lot of work and things like that, I'm able to actually move through those moments and not be quite so stuck because I don't know exactly what to do, because I don't have the decision paralysis in that moment, right? And I don't have the thing that's in me that's saying, if you make the wrong decision, it's the end. That's not necessarily true. Life is life. Sometimes you make the wrong decision, and that's just what it is. Sometimes you make mistakes, and that's what it is. But you have to give yourself the grace to learn from those decisions. You have to give yourself the grace to be able to say, okay, in this moment, what I want to do is take what I learned from that situation and apply it to this growth moment over here. Because I want to grow. I want to be better. I want to succeed. I want to continue going up and up and up. And although that might not have been the right decision in that moment, I'm not going to allow it to cause me to freeze up and never make another decision in life. Because that actually does not help you. It hurts you more than anything out in this world. It keeps you from being able to truly experience joy and happiness and all the other things that are in this life to enjoy. And when you're withdrawn into your mind, it's a lonely place. It's a lonely place. And so, yes. Anyway, so now with fawning, which is the last one, the fourth one, it's at most fundamental. Fawning is all about pleasing others, basically. and engaging in pacifying behaviors. It's characterized by putting people first above all else by doing whatever they want to avoid conflict and gain their approval. The fawn response is people pleasing, basically, to the point of forgetting oneself entirely. Your thoughts, your feelings, your body's sensation, all that good stuff. That's what fawning is. Fawning causes you to abandon yourself because you want to make sure that you are being accepted or being liked or being welcomed or being appreciated or finally getting whatever type of acceptance it is that you want from other people. And I'm hearing it now and I'm thinking that a lot of the reason why we sabotage ourselves is because we have a lack of acceptance. On top of the trauma responses, on top of the comparison, on top of the expectations, on top of the fear, on top of all of that, it's because we have a lack of acceptance. A lack of acceptance that life is life and that things are going to happen. Things are going to happen. Sometimes they are things that are beyond your control. Sometimes there are things that are within your control. But having the acceptance, the radical acceptance that sometimes things happen and they're necessary. They're necessary. Sometimes they are just necessary in order for you to grow or to step out on whatever dreams or goal or faith it is that you need to move forward. All of those things are necessary. All of those things are important. And all of those things build resilience. So I want to encourage you guys today, just like I'm encouraging myself, because like I said before, I've experienced every last one of these things. I've been so fearful that I didn't try in certain areas before. I've been so ashamed that I didn't allow myself to feel good enough to try. I've compared myself to other people and it has blocked me from truly experiencing what was for me. Because what's for them is for them and is amazing for them. But what's for me is going to be exceptionally well and fit and suited just for me. It doesn't fit the bar of what anybody else is doing. It doesn't fit the bar of everyone else's standard. It fits the bar of what I've been created or put on this earth to experience. And expectations. Expectations. A lot of people say don't have expectations, but I don't necessarily think that that's the case. What I think that expectations are used for, or that they can be useful for, is when you expect yourself to be kind to yourself. When you have the proper expectations, when you expect to be generous with yourself and understand that you need some self-care. You need some of that light that you've been giving everybody else. Understanding that the expectations that you have for yourself are not necessarily the expectations that other people might have for themselves. And understanding the difference is paramount, because I was talking to a friend about this week. Common sense is not common sense. You cannot expect another person with a whole different set of life experiences and a whole different set of upbringing and background and this, that, and the other to have the same way of thinking or method of thinking or the method of responding to things that you have. So expectations for other people, you got to be able to let those go. Because life is life and you are you and they are them. You got to accept them for exactly who they are. You got to let people be who they are, just like people should let you be who you are. And I have to say it over and over again because we are in the day and age that if we say one side, we have to say the other side, because the way that we think now is if we omit saying another thing, we think that the other isn't true, which isn't necessarily the case, but I can adapt to those things. So having expectations is something that can be detrimental to you and cause you to have self-sabotage, because it can cause you to get stuck. It can cause you to get wrapped up in thoughts and fears and what should be instead of understanding and accepting what is. Being able to accept what is more powerful than almost anything else, because it allows you to be able to accept and to relinquish the tie to what you feel, or the stronghold to what you feel should be happening. It's a lot of times that I've had expectations for things that just didn't pan out. And I spent days, moments, hours, a lot of time wrapped up in why that thing didn't work out and how it made me feel. And I just was stuck. Expectations make you, it causes you to be real stuck, you know? And then with the trauma responses, I'm going to wrap it up with this. Trauma responses are something that a lot of people have encountered. And what I've learned in my time of therapy is that people who experience detrimental, traumatic experiences have a harder time dealing with trauma. If you have experienced, like say for instance, if you have experienced being kidnapped, or you've experienced something like being a prisoner of war, or you experienced something like being orphaned, or you were, I don't know, raped, or whatever the case is, those are situations that are highly traumatic. And understanding that the traumas tied to those things are not easily removable, are not easily, you don't just get over it, you know? You don't just move past those things. It's not a get over it type of situation. Those are things that you have to actively work towards healing on. And understanding that is going to be so powerful and so helpful and so healing in the journey. So I have talked about a lot of things, and I know that I don't usually go this long, but I feel like it was really important for me to be able to talk about those things. A lot of times being in your own way can just keep you from experiencing real joy. And I want that for us. I want us all to experience joy. I want us all to experience peace. I want us all to experience overall wellness. And with that, I encourage you to be good to yourself, to take moments and even further research it. Take time to look at the things that I've talked about today, to look at the things that I've discussed today, and research those things for yourself and figure out, okay, how does this apply to me? You know, some of the things might not apply to you. It's a huge spectrum of what could be the case. But understanding that even taking a look at what is you, what is for you, how something does affect you is a step in the right direction at your personal growth and your personal healing. So guys, thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate the time. My name is Sonshine Wiley and I am your host. I do want to remind everyone to like, subscribe, and share. And also make sure if you have the ability to donate. The link for our donations will be in the bio, so you have the ability to donate as well. And then also, great news, I have a wellness journal that's come out. I have actually worked with my therapist, and then I was also working on some things myself on tracking my mood, tracking the practices and the tools that I've been using on my journey. And of course, as a part of the Sonshine State and me sharing my journey with other people, I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to have the same tools that I use myself. So what you'll see here is a journal that I created all on my own. I created everything, the wording, the graphs, the graphics, everything. I've created it and I'm really proud of it. It is something that took me a nice amount of time, and this is a smaller version. Of course, there are larger versions and there are different colors based on your what you like and what appeals to you. But this journal has really been a great tool, and I would encourage you all to get one. The link, of course, to get that will also be included in the bio and the resources tab and things like that. And so thank you guys so much for the time. It's been a wonderful time joining you guys, and I'm glad to be back. I will tell you, this was a crazy thing to do, but I'm back and I'm not going anywhere. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.
So stand out, stand out, stand out. You're here, you're free, absolutely where you need to be.
Thank you for joining the journey to the Sonshine State, a space for health, healing, and wellness.